Yo, 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 it's Jeb in his house. Hey, yo, we're going to space, yo. Hey, yo, we're going to space. Rolling on 909s, making money big time. Hustle Uncle Sam on the taxpayer's dime. We're the spacemen in our space bridges. We gone from rags to buku riches. Throw your rockets in the air like you just don't care. Throw your rockets in the air like you just don't care. We a G unit, baby. And don't you forget it. We a G force, homie. That's a G level. We on fire like a blade of home down. See you later. But before I'm out, let's launch the Cap Simulator. We a G unit, baby. We a G unit, baby.
Hello everybody, Thy Lord Root here, and welcome back to another episode of G-Limit. So today we have a few contracts that we're trying to finish up, and quite a number of them in fact. One of them, of course, being that we want to perform several visual surveys. So we got this guy here, and I guess we missed out on one of these. Oh no, we got all three of them. The idea is going to be that we're going to fly this plane around and do some things with it. So let's talk about how to construct an airplane, because it's not entirely obvious, especially with the new aerodynamics. Of course, we're going to want to unlock this new cockpit and put it into place. It's going to cost us some money, but you know, I'm gonna go ahead real quick. I'm gonna put in my science because that would be very helpful for us to have. And you'll notice we do not have the jet fuel tanks here. That's okay. I can strip out the oxidizer. I'm going to purchase this engine as well. So we now have this guy here. We have a center of mass that will move forward, and that's a pretty good thing for us. We want to make sure whatever it is that we do, that we end up taking this guy here and putting the wings to where they would be fairly far, you know, behind this guy. At least, let's see what we got here with our center of lift. We want it to be at least like that. And we'll need to unlock these elevons as well. Now we have two main types of control surfaces here. We have the there we go. I think we're going to do like that. Let me just take this guy back real quick. Oh, nice. That's perfect. We'll just duplicate these guys here. And you can see now that we do happen to have a very good basis for this. We want that center of lift to be behind that center of mass. We'll need as well winglets. And I'm just going to put one on here for the time being. And this will keep us from yawing to side. Speaking of which, it would be nice if we could easily control this. So I'm setting the control surfaces to where these inner guys have pitch and these outer guys have yaw. Possibly even put wings on this as well, even though that doesn't make a terrible amount of sense with our design. But there we go. The wheels are something that we're going to need. Now, I guess formerly, before we had these smaller wheels, you would have maybe put them on, I suppose you would have put this thing on skids or on parachutes. But with the tech tree rebalance, that's not entirely necessary. And just up here, well, you know what, I'm going to add 2 of these, because I don't quite know how the drag is going to work with something like this. And what we can do then is we can put these landing wheels down here. I'm going to turn them upside down like this. However, we don't really want this guy pointing forward. So maybe something like this where we have a wide wheelbase is good. Might be better for us to... Well, we can't really move these guys ahead, but we will have a bit of an angle here. We'll just do something like that, and then I'll move these guys very slightly forward as well as these wheels. And we do want to be careful as well. There's a possibility that we might tail strike, and tail striking is not generally a good thing. And you know, in addition to that, I'm going to put these parachutes on. Because even though they'll cause a little bit of drag, it won't be much. And then finally, we'll complete that science. Now we have one more thing to do here. And that thing is to add on an air intake, because these jet engines actually require air to function. And, we need to be mindful of that. Just the one of them will do, I think. But I won't put this guy down here. That's a little bit too low. I'll put it up here instead. So we'll call this the Jump Jet Mark 1. And we'll get out to flying. Oh, and another thing too, we need to put a competent pilot in. Now, with this, there's some things you should be aware of. The first is that the jet engines take time to change their throttle. This is commonly referred to as spool up and spool down. And so let's try that. We'll brake really quickly. I'm gonna go up to full throttle. Or maybe not. It seems that I guess I could get away with not having that fuel in there. But I'm gonna take it because it's worth having. Let's see, where is it? We'll put in that liquid fuel. Something like this usually isn't a bad idea. But yeah, we will go ahead now. I will throw on the brakes. and turn on SAS. And you know what, I'm going to try and get all these guys here. So we'll activate the navigation on that. And, I'll pull up the nav ball too. Okay. Well, watch this. You can see it is slowly building up thrust. Now we want to pull up if we can, because this is a bumpy runway. And we do want to be fairly conservative about that. If we don't pull up, what may happen is that we may move off here. And there's a thing about turning too in these guys. I think we've already got our crew report over KSC. So turning in a plane, you don't really want to use your yaw control. You want to use your roll control because, as it would turn out, using the yaw to turn, and we'll just get ourselves centered here, happens to usually cause issues. So I think, do we have a crew report over water? We do. What about temperature scans? It would be good for me to be able to do that. Yeah, we have all that good stuff. So it's a matter of us coming out here and essentially waiting. We need to be under 18.5 kilometers, which with this plane is not going to be difficult. And you can see we're already beginning to get Mach effects. Even though we're not at Mach 1 yet. Mach 1 is like 340 meters per second. But we can, we can fly over this thing and we'll know we're there whenever the clipboard or whatever the thing happens to be. If we're meant to be below it, then it'll move upwards, as you might expect. If we're above it and need to get lower, it'll move downwards. Or rather, I guess it's not really the case that it will move in any particular direction if we need to go there, but it just depends on whether we are above or below that point. And then we'll get a message saying that that's where we're at. So we could fly a number of places with this thing. I'm thinking we have a pretty good range. And I don't think we'll be able to get it all in one mission, but we do have a fair amount of fuel. It's a question on whether or not we want to recover this plane on full value. It's certainly expensive enough for us to consider that. Now, I will tell you one thing right now, I am no good at flying these things. They are, they're okay. They're not the easiest thing in the world to fly. Of course, that's just from my perspective. Also, these guys here, because they're not retracted in part drag, and that does cause some minor issues for us. Another thing you'll want to monitor up here is your intake error. And that's largely because of the fact that intake error is a precious resource. Let's see, do we have a crew report? I think we've gotten most of the science here that we can get. We're over the shores. But this is something I usually forget. I usually forget to get all the science here. And just this one continent that we're on is fairly well varied. And you do get a number of nice things here. You get, for instance, I'll just zoom in just a little bit so we can more easily see our instruments here. You know, we can log temperature. Let's see, we're over the grasslands. Let's try a crew report there. Something for us to transmit. And it's okay for us to do that because these engines have alternators in them. I've got this weird corkscrew motion going on here. Oh yeah, we want to get all the way back up to 45, and there's plenty of ways to do that. And we haven't done much with planes, so you know, I figured why not. We are pretty high up, and we do want to make sure that, you know, this guy in particular, they changed the way the engines work between 0.90 and 1.0, and so the major changes are these engines, first of all, you can't do air hogging anymore. If you're new to the game, air hogging was distilled where you could slap on a bunch of intakes, and that would allow you to get really high up in the atmosphere and run these jets. These engines are more or less altitude dependent. And so whenever you use them, you want to make sure that you are at a good altitude for them. Now, I'm not quite sure what my thrust to weight ratio is. I imagine it's pretty high. And another thing we can do here as well is if we hit C, we can look around the cockpit. Not much is really going on because I'm pointed towards the sky and I don't really have enough clearance to look out, or I guess visibility to look out anywhere else. Just put it on physical time warp a little bit. Now, I don't know if that's just the camera moving us from side to side or not. The planes are, by comparison to spaceflight, very slow. Partially because we sort of have a slow craft. And that's one thing here. You can see our clipboard is beginning to move up. And, you know, it's very useful that way. Because we are going to be below this thing. I'm going to just move down a little bit so we don't move up too much. My understanding of spaceflight is that there's so-called straight and level flight, and what constitutes that really depends on a number of things. We're just beginning to dip a little bit. You see you have a vertical velocity meter up there. And keeping that straight, keeping that on 0 is very difficult. And it's on 0 now, it looks like. And let's make sure we don't miss this, by the way, because it will be popping up pretty soon. You can see that our thing is coming up. I'm gonna be happy with that climb, right? Anyway, when I was looking into this, I remember seeing that there's really two ways to think about stability. One of them tends to be whether or not... Oh, there we go. We'll grab that. No reason to transmit it. Okay, we can start turning around here. I think we'll do that. Go to Gene Slope. Get some varied land here. You can see we've actually spent quite a bit of money getting this guy to go. No, we need to be above, and then that could be difficult. The reason being, of course, is that this jet engine isn't really designed for that kind of altitude. But this is a good test, and we can collect some more science along the way. And what we'll do is we'll fly over these mountains. We'll possibly get that taken care of. It may be necessary at some point for us to have rockets attached to this. We don't really have anything right now that is sufficient for that. See if there's... We're still over the shores. Now, so that's a crew report we gotta do, and then we've got here, I think we gotta be landed at 2 places. Yeah, we've gotta take an EVA report. And unfortunately, we need an engineer to repack our chutes, so this may be a separate flight for us. I think we're getting pretty close to the highlands here, so we'll see if we maybe get a crew report. I'm just going to decrease my bank angle. Now the mountains are generally pretty hard to get. But there are various ways that we can do that. We could have one of our probes with 2 sets of parachutes take care of that. We over the highlands yet? Nope, we're still over the grasslands. I'm going to bank over just slightly. Okay, let's not put it on huge scale time acceleration. Not quite yet. Now, there are really two approaches we could take here. We could just go ahead and walk on over there once we land. That would be the safest thing for us to do. Because once we get out, we're out for good. I don't think it's possible for us to, with our current design, to get back in. And yes, I am sort of spamming the crew report button here because there isn't much that we can do about that for now. Okay, I think we're going to be stuck over the grasslands. For just a little bit. Incidentally, I will probably from this point begin pre-building most of my craft. Although if we get something new that needs to be covered, then I'll do that. Let's just raise our apsis just a little bit. I'm not sure if we have enough lift to get up to where we want to. And we are very slightly offset here. I'm going to begin the climb up. Even though we're a little bit ahead, maybe if we zoom in. Yeah, we've still got quite the while to go. By the way, that green orbit there, that is our that happens to be our contracted orbit that we did. Let's see if maybe there's anything new for us. We're probably still over grasslands. Oh no, we're over highlands. Let's zoom in just a little bit, because there is science that we can do here. We'll transmit that. And we'll save that for recovery, just in case Valentina happens to crash, which would be rather unfortunate. Now, it may be the case that, we might be better served by UAVs here. Valentina is the only person who can do a crew report right now that can actually fly the plane. And, you know what, I'll tell you what I'll do. Well, I thought I might speed up the video, but I think that is, oh, we're overheating very slightly. Okay. That may be due to time acceleration. We'll cut the throttle just a little bit. But we'll be over some mountains at least, and mountains are good for what we're trying to do here. I'm also going to turn over here just very slightly. Unfortunately, until we get turbojets, and that's going to be a big until, because, you know, turbojets are actually a little bit further up the tech tree. I think we need to upgrade. Getting high up in the atmosphere is going to be very difficult. Not completely undoable, of course. It's the way you would probably do it is with rocket engines. Let's see, are we close by? We're closer by. We'll just put it that way. KSC, by the way, is somewhere around here. Oh, we lose something? Oh, it was, let's check and see. This might have been the engines complaining about intake error. I'm going to unlock the pitch on these because it's important that we do have a fair amount of pitch authority. I think our horizontal speed is pretty far. Oh, we're losing control. So, you know, I don't know about what height this becomes. You know, we're getting pretty close. I think so, at least. Let's zoom in a little bit. I think once we get past these mountains, we'll be okay. probably not enough for us to completely cover the plane here. But we'll need to do some more part testing. You can see we're beginning to hit the point to where we will probably want to begin pitching up. And so I think I'm going to do that. You can see we're consuming quite a bit of intake air right now, and we are very slightly losing control. But if we can maintain this, we can get up to altitude. And I think we should be able to hit, even with the rarefied nature of the air, we should be able to hit at this altitude fairly easily. It's really just a matter of us getting the amount of science we need out of this. You can see the wings are becoming a lot less effective now. So I'm going to do my best to, I'm going to come down like this, I think, build up some speed. And some intake air as well. I'm going to pull up out of this. And you know what, I completely forgot to check to see if we're over the mountains. It doesn't look like it. Unfortunately, at this point, there is not enough in the way of altitude. I think we may need to do some work to get up there. Okay, yeah, we're not above this point at all. I don't quite know if we'll be able to do that. as we need a fairly sprightly craft to do it. That may be easier to do with the rocket, I don't know. We may need to use a rocket plane or something. Okay, well, we'll have to launch a rocket, I think. At least we have an idea of where this guy is. I'm gonna give up on that for now, because we can more easily get over here, I think. And you don't want to be too aggressive with your planes, by the way. It's not the easiest thing in the world to, I suppose, to recover from flipping out like this. The question is, when we get over here, how much legroom are we going to have? Probably not much. However, we will be close to K2, which is, not really bad news for us, and we're close to the KSC, so it'll be possible for us to fly back. Now this guy is going to probably pitch down. And that will be a bit of a deal for us. Now, unfortunately, with that guy being somewhere in the mountains, I think we're just going to have to hit the chutes and go around and collect things. I think that Valentina will otherwise have no chance of survival, and I really do not want to kill Valentina. That's going to be the main deal. Killing Valentina is something I do hope to avoid. And given where we're at in the mountains, that is, I mean, you know, at least we'll slow down. And that'll be, it'll be okay. But we'll be here in the mountains, at least. We'll just have to navigate the terrain and see maybe what what it's going to be like for us. I think we'll hit that plateau or something, which means we will be in the highlands. And maybe we'll get some mountainous data. Now you can in fact attempt to land on the runway if you want. I'm just going to throttle down just a little bit. That we can more easily land. Grab that crew report. That's over the Highlands. It might be kind of nice if we had unlocked rover wheels in order to do parts of this, but that'll just have to be the way things are for now. I think we're getting pretty close. Unfortunately, there are no flaps here. The mountains are usually a pretty difficult spot to hit. Whoa. Okay, we're getting pretty close. We'll just, well, this is not a good thing. Not what we have here. Thrust is 0. And this could be bad. We could lose Valentina this way, despite the fact that we do have parachutes. Largely because the center of mass has changed. And I think we're... Okay, well, let's brake. Let's grab some science while we're at it. We'll keep this data. We'll get ourselves a crew report. And I don't believe we've done this before, so we'll collect mystery goo here. Both of them. And maybe log some temperature. Take that data as well. Get it to recover. And we'll store those experiments here. Now here's a question. Do we have a crew report on the ground? Oh no. Valentina's taken quite a tumble. Well, let's try and maybe get down here. If we hold shift, whoa. Okay, let me do this. Let me recover this so that we at least don't lose the plane, because that is a very expensive plane we have there. We're about halfway through. In fact, we got science from recovery of a vessel that survived flight. Not really. But you know, we're pretty close. Let's just go to the tracking station and resume Valentina's quest here. I'm sure Valentina is not terribly happy with us. Okay, I more or less gave up on this and decided to install the EVA waypoint mod, and now I am stuck for some reason. Because I was going around in circles trying to get this. It's very easy to get turned around without a nav ball. It's not entirely realistic to have this, but with the, I suppose with the fact that these guys are kind of difficult to hit because you're supposed to, I'm not quite sure what the radius is. There we go. It was just too much. So I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to recover the vessel. And I will probably cut out a lot of the wandering around that we did. So there we go. Let's just go to the contract building real quick. We can always do that. I have no problem with us doing that. But we will have to grind some contracts in order to fly by the moon, I think. Most of these are surface samples, so I think we should be able to hit that pretty easily. If, you know, we just do this. So what we'll do is we will take that stacked decoupler and I will just grind us up. You know what, we'll do like that. And there we go. If we can maybe grind up enough cash to get us going here, because you know, I did on the one hand, I do want that that tracking station. is going to be important because then we can do a flyby of the moon, but we need cash for that. About, I don't know, 20 or 30 grand. There we go. Yeah, it's somewhat unfortunate, though. We have no real way otherwise to... I mean, we can complete some of those contracts. I can fly a plane out and get most of them. We don't get any advance here. And, I think we're beginning to lose our ability to do some of these things. Science data from around Kerbin could be useful, but the question is, do we... Well, yeah, we'll do that then. We'll take another shot at hitting the polar ice caps. So where's our Polaris recovery module? Since Valentina has made it rather... She's been a long time. I think we'll need to do this. So, let's just get out there. It is interesting to note that, you know, we're now in a rather interesting situation here. Did something blow up? I don't know. I'm gonna turn this off, though. And... oh, we're getting re-entry heating. We'll go suborbital on this. Okay, how about something like that? Be nice and in the center here, and you can see we have these guys over here. So we'll log temperature from the upper atmosphere, which we apparently neglected to get. And we'll get that too. We might as well. I mean, we're running out of places that we can go here. Although, you know, I think it's possible for us to maybe see biomes here. And there we go. We'll just, we'll close this guy up for now. And we'll use the remaining Delta V that we have in this stage to break. So let's give this guy a shot here. We'll slow down soon enough. And it'll just be a matter of us taking the science and doing what we need to do with it. We'll just deploy those chutes now so we can slow down. Review that data, see which is which. We want to keep that because that's going to give us some money. What about this guy here? That's 4.3 science. I'm not going to throw that away just yet. So nothing flying above the ice cap so far, and I think it may be good for us to send a plane out. But we're pretty close to landing here. I think we'll call it an episode after this point, because I mean, really, it's, we're not advancing too far on our cash. But if we gather the science, then things will be okay. And we should be fairly close to getting everything that we need out here, because we missed this biome last time. Okay. So we'll take that science, even if it is somewhat of a pittance. And we'll maybe send another probe out here to grab everything. Let's just recover that guy and look at contracts. $305. We did not gain much from that. I'm not sure if we gained anything. Actually, we might have lost some. Oh, interesting. We have debris here that we can recover. Yeah. I think that's going to be good for now. But until then, this has been the iLord Root, and I will see